Hello and welcome to episode 186 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is May 29th, 2023. And today I'm wearing the Pierre shawl by Stephen West out of hand-dyed yarn by Wolldackel, as I promised last week. I have washed and blocked it and this is what it looks like now, and I'm really happy. I think it has grown a bit in this direction, and I'm really happy with the size it has now. I'm really happy with the colors. The yarn is really nice and soft, and the size is really great. And I like the the way the increases are done. It's not like a semicircle at all, but it's the ends sort of fall forwards. I don't really know how to explain. I think you can see it quite nicely. So if I just hold it like this, I think that's the easiest way to show maybe. It sort of has this form. So it's a lot more than a semicircle, and I can also wear it this way. If I want to wear it underneath a jacket, for example, I can have a really nice and warm shawl or like a huge scarf, and then I can wear a jacket or something. But I can also wrap it round like this. I can cross it here, and I can pull it to the back, and I can make a knot in the back so I can move around and it won't fall off, and I can just wear it open like this. So many ways to wear this. It really sits on the shoulders very nicely and securely, and like the way these ends curl round a little bit. And from blocking, as I said, the lace pattern is going to open up more. It's not really very obvious because the yarn is so colorful and it's fairly dark, but still has this beautiful wave at the lower edge, and I'm really, really happy with this. Yeah, and then I was looking for something to wear with the shawl, and I realized that this crocheted vest that I did has sort of the same colors as the shawl, so I decided to wear that again. It's the second time I'm wearing this on the podcast, and the first time I wore it was straight after I finished it. And I crocheted this as a test crochet for Heather from HG Designs Crochet. Heather Griffiths, I think is her name, is a very talented crochet designer, and she's put out quite a few more patterns since I crocheted the vest, and she loves everything granny square. So I think most of her designs use granny square motifs. The same with this vest. Yeah, I like the big V-neck. The back in this size is a bit smaller than the front, so the seam is a bit towards the back. It's fairly fitted. I could have crocheted the next size up to have a loose fitting garment, but you could do that any way you like. I think this was actually the first garment that I crocheted out of a pure acrylic yarn, just to see how it works, just to give an option for more budget-friendly garment if you wanted to make one. I think the only thing I changed in making the vest is that the seam was supposed to be down here, so you're supposed to seam together the lowest row of granny squares and then have a really big armhole. You could do that. You could even crochet together both the squares if you want to, but I wanted the armholes a little less big, and I quite like the split hem, so it doesn't get too tight down here, and I really like that. So with this blue shirt underneath, it doesn't show that much, but if I wear something white or pink underneath, then it's a lot more obvious. Yeah, so that's the vest Invested. The pattern is called Invested. And I think when I first showed it to you, I said that Heather wasn't selling her designs on Ravelry, but only on her website. And I do link to her website underneath the video, but she's now also put up her patterns on Ravelry. So if you want to buy them there, I link to the patterns on my project pages, and I link the project pages underneath the video. So if you want to crochet that, and I think it's a really nice garment, and it's not too big, doesn't take too long. It's really worth making. So that's what I'm wearing today. Then on to finished objects. I have 2 finished objects. I also cast on 2 new projects. So the number of projects stays the same. It didn't go down, but it can't go down every week, can it? So maybe next week. So the first finished object I have are the bright pink lace socks that I started knitting when I first got this book, which in German is called Zauberhafte Lacesocken, which sort of means beautiful. Zauberhaft should be a different word, I don't know. But it's like very beautiful lace socks. And it is a very beautiful book by a designer from Finland. I don't know if there's an English version out, but yeah, you can look for it. Maybe you'll find it. It's a really nice book. And when I first looked at it, I just loved the pictures, and the patterns and instructions look nice. I have now finished 1 pair. I've been working on the 2nd pair for quite some time, and I've started a 3rd pair of socks out of this book. And I must say now that I still love the patterns. I love the pictures in the book. They're just so beautiful. Let me see if I can, yeah, so this is the sock that I just finished knitting, and I just love the way they created the picture, and with the sheet music and all those little things. And I'll show you the picture for the socks that I cast on, and you'll see what I mean. But now that I've worked with it a bit, there's just a little bit of criticism that I have. And one of the things is that the way the patterns are written, sometimes they use a strange way of describing things. It's probably not interesting for you because it's a German book. I just wanted to mention that sometimes you have to think about what they are trying to tell you. And if you're an experienced knitter, it's probably no big deal. But if you are new, it might make it a little bit more difficult. And the other thing that I notice is that very often, or at least with the patterns that I've looked at, the pattern is written in a way that the pattern runs into the toe, which on the one hand is a very nice thing to do, but it means that you have to knit exactly the same number of rounds that they say in the pattern. And if you want to knit a different size, or your foot is just a bit different from the pattern, or your yarn is a bit different, it's difficult to do if you want to just knit a different number of rows. So with these socks, I think I only omitted 2 rounds. So the only thing that's missing is there's sort of a purl round every now and then in the pattern. And I didn't do that. And I think I didn't do the one after that. So it's not really obvious. It still looks nice. That's why I kept the pattern in. But it's just a thing to remember that if you want to knit a different size, then maybe you should take care of what you do in the toe, whether you keep the pattern in or maybe change it, or yeah, do something about that. And yeah, that were the 2 things that I wanted to say about the book. Otherwise, I'm really happy with the socks. They fit me. I love the color, and looking forward to wearing them. Right now, I hope it's going to be too warm to wear them, as I was using a DK weight yarn or a 6-ply yarn. So yeah, but looking forward to wearing them. The other finished object I have also has a pink yarn, but it's rather different kind of pink, and that's the Cuff Muff Double Ender by Nathan Taylor, the Fragmentation, out of his new book Double Knit Brioche. And I talk about the Cuff Muff Double Ender a lot in last week's episode, so I'm not going to repeat all that, because all the double knit brioche and double knitting and double the number of stitches was quite confusing. But I finished it, so I'll just say that the the cuffs are knit in double knitting, and the rest, most of the rest is knit in double knitted brioche, and it's extremely soft. And I think last time I forgot to turn it inside out, because the really interesting thing about this project is that you can turn it inside out and you have the exact same pattern, just in the reverse colors. And I love that. I think it's so fantastic. And usually, I think with double knitting, it was always the case that you had the reverse pattern on the other side. So that's sort of what you expect from double knitting. But with two color brioche, if you did a pattern, it was always different on one side than the other side. And it's not that one side looked bad or anything. It was just different. And Nathan was really trying to find a way to create the patterns in a way that they are reversible. So yeah, that's what I did, and it's really nice and warm. And this is another project that I probably will have to wait to be really using, like in the real world, not just in here if I get a little cold. Yeah, but this is the Cuff Muff Double Ender, knit out of the bulky weight alpaca yarn by Hansa Farm, which is a really soft yarn anyway. And then with this squishy fabric that you get by knitting brioche, it's just wonderful. I love it. The next project I'm going to start from the book Double Knit Brioche is going to be a hat. I've already picked the hat, I've picked the yarn, but I've told myself I have to finish something first before I allow myself to start the hat. That's the deal. Okay, so then on to works in progress. There's, I think, less progress in my projects than I showed you last time, but last time wasn't a normal week. It wasn't a week at all. It was 3 weeks. But anyway, I'll show you what I've done. So the older sock on the needle are now the pattern battle socks that I'm knitting as part of the pattern battle in the Opal Abo group, in the Opal subscription group. And this is another of these beautiful patterns out of the book that I just showed you. This one has a heel flap and gusset construction, and I almost finish it. Just like 2 more rounds, but when I was doing them, I couldn't go on for some reason, and I never picked it up because I was concentrating on other things. But anyway, but this is one of the, this is the other solution that you can do if you don't knit the same number of rounds. And with this sock, I think I should have knitted 6 more rounds, but that would have made the sock too long for myself, and I don't like it when socks are too long. So I decided not to knit them, but then the pattern that was supposed to be on the toe wouldn't have fitted. So I decided not to do it. So I just decided to stop knitting the pattern and just do a normal toe. And because I like this, is this a round toe? It's in German, it's called a star toe, and it has the decreases all around. And this is my preferred toe. And so what I did is I just stopped knitting the lace pattern, and I just did my favorite toe without the pattern, and then that's okay too. That's what lots of patterned socks do that don't have a pattern on the toe, the foot and the heel. Yeah, otherwise I'm really happy with this. I wish it was already done and I could have started the second one, but that's what I want to do this week. And then the other sock that you already know are the film reel socks. And this is sock number 2 and film number 1. Almost finished this film, but not quite, because I always change the needle tip between knitting color work and knitting the rows without the color work, and I didn't have the other tip with me. So I'll have to look where I left that. So that's a film reel sock. And then the 2 new cast-ons are both socks. So the first sock that I cast on last week, I used this yarn by Wolle Rödel. While I was on holiday, I went yarn shopping, of course. And Wollerödel is like a chain that used to have many shops. There are only a few left. But when I found one, I went in, had a look around, and what I bought was actually sock yarn. So they have this, it's called 8-ply sock yarn in 50-gram balls. And when I saw this color, I thought my sister is going to like this. So I decided to knit her another pair of socks. And at first I thought I was going to just do a very simple sock the way I did it for myself before. And what I like to do with this yarn is knit toe up, which I don't usually do. But because these are 50-gram balls, if I knit the socks toe up, I can just use the whole ball, and I know I'll have enough by buying 2 balls. If you knit bigger socks, you usually need 3 balls, but my feet and my sister's feet aren't very big, so I know 2 are enough. But by knitting them toe up, I can just use up the whole thing. I like to do that. I think I've done that for her before as well. But I thought knitting without a pattern is just too boring. And one of the good things about this book is it has patterns for 4-ply, 6-ply and 8-ply yarn. So I looked at the patterns for 8-ply yarn, and I knew that my sister really liked these socks. And one of the things I like is just this picture with the frozen flowers. It's so fantastic. So this is the pattern I'm knitting, but it looks a bit different for me. And one reason is because I have this sort of multicolor yarn, not a solid color yarn. And the other difference is that I'm knitting them toe up. So these are knit top down, but with the lace pattern, I didn't really want to turn the pattern upside down. So I decided it was going to be nice the wrong way around, if that makes sense. So I started the toe, I improvised my favorite toe the other direction. This is what the yarn looks like. So this is like the foot of the sock, and you can see the color changes. They're not very, it's not a strong contrast or anything, but these are colors that my sister likes. So I thought that should be fine. And this is what the pattern looks like. And I think it looks really nice. It doesn't look upside down or anything. I did one whole pattern repeat plus a bit, and then I put the heel in, and I did a short row heel. And in keeping with the book, I decided to do a rib pattern in the second half of the heel. And now for the leg, I'm going to do ribs on the back of the leg, and I'll continue the lace pattern on the front of the leg. Yeah, so really happy with that. And the nice thing about the 8-ply yarn is that you have fewer stitches and the knitting grows really quickly. The last pair of socks I'm going to show you today is the opposite of growing quickly, and that's the pattern for the 6th round of this year's Sock Madness. The pattern is called 3 times a Cable. It was designed by Kate Poe, and I realized that she also designed the 6th round pattern 2 years ago. And I remember knitting that when I wasn't in the competition anymore, so I had time, but it took me until Christmas to finish them because it was a very involved color work pattern. Beautiful socks, and I remember that in December I decided now I have to get them finished so I can give them away for Christmas. I hope these socks won't take quite that long. So 3 times a cable means there's 3 different ways, 3 different cable patterns in a way, but it's a 2-color sock, so it also involves color work, and I decided to use those 2 colors. This is the one of the Schafparte color, which means this is yarn from German sheep that was completely produced in Germany. This is and this is an old color, so this is the last ball in this color that I had left, so I decided to use it myself. And this is a very new color. This only came out this year, but all the other series by Opal that are not Schafparte, this is not German wool, because I don't think you get enough German wool to produce all the yarn that Opal sells every year. Yeah, so it's the Country series, and it's a fairly dark color, and I hoped that those two colors would have enough contrast to show the colorwork pattern. And this is, you start off by doing 2 stockinette bits, and then you knit them together, and then you start the colorwork. And so there's 2 different cable patterns in colorwork. Don't think I've ever done colorwork cables before. And with this pattern, you cable 1 stitch in one color with 1 stitch in the other color, and you end up with this kind of pattern. With the other cable pattern, you basically cable the stitches in one color in front of the other color. So those 2 gray stitches, they sort of stay in the middle and they stay in the back, and these 2 get crossed. And I'm very happy I'm not in the competition anymore, because I managed to get a mistake in very early on. Because if you look, all those 4 crossings, they all look the same. And I was a bit surprised they looked the same, because they weren't supposed to be the same. And then it took me a while to realize that I got this one wrong. This one should have been like this. So here I actually managed to do it, to do 2 different crossings. But I'm not in a competition. I'm not ripping back. It looks fine the way it looks. So this is the second cable, and then the third cable is just a colorwork cable. So with this pattern, I actually don't cable any stitches. I just knit a colorwork pattern that sort of looks like a cable, and I have one there and one here. I think it's a fun pattern. I like knitting it. It has a, they call a strong heel. It's this heel construction where you increase stitches and then you go straight into the heel turn. It's not my favorite heel to wear, but it's part of the pattern, so I'm going to do it. I'm knitting them in a small size. I'm knitting them for myself because I'm giving the other orange socks to my aunt. I thought I'll try and keep these socks. So I've reached the point where I want to start the increases for the heel. So that's why I stopped knitting. I didn't have the time to concentrate on doing that. Yeah, so lots of socks again, but not too much else. So we'll keep going. So I did not sew the pieces together for the little cowl that I'm test knit for Yuki Knits. Hope to do that this week, and then hopefully I can show it to you next week. But I continued knitting on the cashmere pullover, and I always keep forgetting what the book is called, and today I remembered to bring it. It's The Art of Circular Yokes. Beautiful book, and this is the pattern I'm knitting, and it looks quite different with grey and white to black and grey. So this is my version, and I finished knitting. I did not finish knitting the second sleeve, but I finished the ball of yarn that I was using. So now both sleeves are the same length, and I can now either do the ribbing on the neckline or continue the front and back. I still want to continue with the neckline and sort of get this end of the pullover finished, and then I can, it's easy to decide on how long I want things to be and to see how it sits on me. Cashmere by Hansafa. And then the other Stephen West shawl I'm knitting. Now that I've finished this one, it's the only Stephen West I have on my needles at the moment. I managed to finish wedge number 6. So this is wedge number 6. Number 5, 4, 3, 2, and this was the first wedge. So it's growing quite a bit. And I have also started the last wedge of the shawl. So this is, this little bit is finished, and you can already see that the first and the last wedge actually do have the same colors, just like the middle one here. And yeah, I'm really happy. And I think you can also see just by holding it like this, that this is actually, again, more than a semicircle and should sit on the shoulders really nicely. And yeah. This is what I have left from my third 100-gram ball of yarn. And I've sort of counted the stripes that I still have when I wound this, and it will not be enough, but I already knew that. So I'll probably get to somewhere around here, and then I'll have to start the next one to finish it off. Yeah, Beauty, it's a series Beauty by Opal, and has these nice stripes, which is the reason I chose it for this project. Now onto the crochet things. I did not crochet on the green blanket. I have a customer who wants to learn how to crochet granny squares together, so I'll probably wait for her to come with her squares, and then when she wants to crochet them together, I'll do my blanket, and then I can sort of show on my blanket what to do, and then she can follow along, and then that'll be a good time to attach all the finished squares that I have already to the bit of blanket that I already have. Now my alpaca lace huge granny square. This is one of those weeks where I can say I did one round. I finished the first black round after the dark grey, and I started the second round, and that's all I did. Not a lot, but I keep working on it. So as long as I keep working, I'm content. And I love working on it, so I don't mind if it takes forever. Not forever, I do want to wear it at some point. And the last project is our crochet along hexagon cardigan or horizon cardigan. And last week I showed you the first half of my cardigan, and the second half, oh, I got the yarns mixed up. Oops. The second half looks like this. So this is still in the hexagon form. And you can now see that the more you crochet, the less you can lie it flat, because it's just too much fabric to lie flat. But once you fold it in half, you can sort of see half the cardigan growing. So right now the sleeve's still a bit too small, and front and backs as well, but I'm getting there. So if you are crocheting along, please feel free to share your pictures of your yarn and your cardigan as it's growing in the Ravelry group for Kikos Strickschule, and yeah, we'd enjoy seeing what you're doing. I at least will enjoy it, but I'm pretty sure everybody else who posts their pictures will also enjoy looking at the other pictures. Yeah, so that was everything I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!